Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. My name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as the Counselor of Cash. And I got to point out all the positivity going on in the chat. I see Danny Brasco in the chat. I see Chris Kish, Eric David, Jeremy Brooks, Rick Funcannon in here, among others. Please hit the like button. Absolutely love the positivity on a Monday morning. Let's see if our recap screen was positive. It was. 10-7, and look at all the plus money plays. Marginal plus money. Brasco didn't have the best day, but he does hit that plus 140. I've got a plus number in front of mine. Buckets goes 3 for 3, including that even money play. And we almost hit the plus 240 play from Tom Casale. That one falls just short. Shout out to Mikey B, who goes 2 for 2 again with a plus money play. And Chip Patterson. 10-7 is certainly a good day, and we're going to try to improve on this day with, this is a dream team. And then we also get Angelo Maglioka back, a.k.a. Amags. Amags, I got to start with you. Of course, we have Mike McClure here, Larry Hartstein, and Mikey B as well, and all of you in the chat. Amags, you're back. And when I say back, I mean like you're back. It's MLB season. I know we're going to talk WBC a little bit today as well, but how you doing, buddy?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely MLB season. My head is kind of spinning between trying to get the WBC game on, and then I still got the Yankee spring training over here, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on in each spot. So it's been a lot of fun the last few days to have the WBC around, and the betting is really only heating up at this point. We're finally getting to these rivalry games now, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, USA, Mexico, where they're fighting for the top spot in the pool. So that'll be fun over the next couple of days.
I can't wait. Hit the like button for Amags. Let's get to 200 while we're live, maybe 500-600 throughout the course of the day. Mike McClure, there's been some NFL news. I know we're going to talk basketball today, a lot of basketball, some baseball. I've got a PGA pick for everybody as well. But, we just heard about Tua Tagovailoa being released by the Dolphins. Not a huge surprise. I think the most surprising news there is the dead cap money that the Dolphins have to endure. I believe it's $67 million this year and about 30-some million next year, which is record-breaking, almost $100 million total. Max Crosby signed over the weekend with the Baltimore Ravens. Any quick reaction to the NFL news?
Yeah, look, I like the move for Crosby, first of all. I think he's an incredibly talented player. Would the Raiders have been better off finding a way to keep him and make him happy? Yes. Unfortunately, I think it is just one of those situations where they had to move on. They weren't going to repair that relationship, unfortunately. And then as far as Tua, $99 million in dead money is incredible. I used to say the best gig in the world was a fired SEC coach that gets a big buyout to go play golf. This is close to that, essentially. 99 in dead money is absolutely crazy. I support the move, though. I think that if you were to rank starting quarterbacks out there, I don't know where Tua would go. We've documented some of the struggles in cold weather and everything as well. He was playing in a pretty good environment. He needs to go to a team that plays in a dome, in my opinion, if he's going to have any success in the NFL. And I personally don't think he will have any success in the NFL going forward.
Well, he also needs to get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less. He can't really buy time because we know about the head injury issues. I think that was what was really limiting the Dolphins' offense in a huge way. Larry, any reaction to NFL before we get to our picks?
I think it was a great move for the Ravens, even though they gave up so much, because just seeing how Max Crosby, what he'll do with Jesse Minter as his coach, and the way that Jesse Minter likes to play, which is he doesn't stack the box. He relies on that defensive front to stop the run and get pressure. And Crosby is excellent against the run. He's not just a great pass rusher. So I think it's a bold move. I think it's a great move when you have a limited window to make that play. But see, something happened to me over the weekend. A guy ran into me, a buddy, and we were chatting, and he was really ticked off about Jake Knapp getting withdrawn and costing him thousands in DFS. But then we moved on, and he said, "Is Sia really a nice guy?" And I had to hesitate, but no, I said yes. I confirmed it that you are indeed nice. But I thought that was an interesting question.
Well, why did he italicize the question? Did he think this is like a front on camera, but I'm really somebody different off camera?
I guess he just wanted to know, is it really true? Is he as nice as he seems,
That's a good. It's fair. Totally
I said
fair
yes.
question,
I did. I quickly said yes.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate whoever that friend is for watching the show. Mikey B, I want to get to some picks. First of all, you've been red hot. Let's see if we can keep it going. We already have some NBA questions, some NBA prop picks in the chat that we're going to want to get your response to. But you've got a couple of picks here on Kelly Oubre and Brendan Pajemski.
Yeah, of course. I always bring the biggest names to the table, Sia, when I give out these picks. So first we'll do Kelly Oubre Jr. over 17.5 points. He missed 2 games with an illness, but he came back Saturday, scored 24 points. He played 36 minutes, which you like to see. He's now scored at least 18 points, and Joel Embiid are both out tonight for the 76ers. Those two combined to average 55.6 points and 40.1 shot attempts per game. So there's going to be a lot of minutes here, a lot of shot attempts for Oubre, and I like him to go over 17.5 points. And then I apologize. I like to have you guys all watch these bad teams play each other. Warriors Jazz is going to be on your TV tonight. We're going to do Brandon Podziemski over 10.5 rebounds and assists. With the Warriors shorthanded, he's averaged 34 minutes over the last 8 games. In 6 of those, he combined for at least 11 rebounds and assists. The other 2, he had 10 combined each, so he just missed this number. Playing the Jazz, who ranked 24th in rebounds allowed per game and 26 in assists allowed per game over the last 10 games. He faced them 2 times this season. The last 2 times he faced them, he had 14 and 15 combined, and he didn't play more than 28 minutes in either of those games. He should easily play 30 minutes in this game, and I love him to go over 10.5 rebounds and assists.
All right. I'm looking at some NBA stuff, Mikey B. I mean, I have a golf outright to pick, a golf outright to give out. And I actually had a golf pick to give out, but they pulled it. I'll tell you more about that later. There's some NBA games that I'm actually curious about from a side standpoint, which I think I'm going to ask you about later in the show. I think it was Ray Garcia in the chat. He said, Sia, thank you for the check mark from Friday. Went in pretty heavy and we cashed. I mean, obviously, I do want to say always bet responsibly. Don't go heavier than what's going to affect you, from a monetary standpoint, like in a significant way. I just want to put that out there. With all that said, we went 5-0-1 on our matchups. We had 2 matchups on the early wedge. We pushed one of them because Fitzpatrick kind of choked down the stretch. That push is totally okay. It was against Hideki Matsuyama. Our 4-round matchups, we hit all of those. And then our tournament matchup, which was over in Puerto Rico, Matty Schmidt over S.H. Kim, that one hit as well. So we are rolling with the matchups. And I'll have more for you this week on the early edge and perhaps in the SportsLine Discord. Mike McClure. It is conference championship season this week, and so we're looking at a lot of smaller schools, smaller games, if you will. One of them is Alcorn State.
Small game for some, big game for others here, Sia. But yes, I'm going to go back to a similar play we did last week. Same number. It's a first half team total under 31.5. Looking at a team that just is not a great team. You talk about Alcorn State. This team has lost 22 games so far this season. I'm going to fade their team total here in the first half. This is a team that has scored between 48 and 55 points in a full game many times this season. Now you're talking about early start time in this conference setup here. Look, Alabama State's not a great team. They're definitely the better team here, though. When you look at this particular matchup, I don't think Alcorn State's going to have any success in terms of generating second chance points. All comes down to whether or not they shoot efficiently here. But to me personally, I think this team is not good. I think that they're tracking to potentially only score 60 points in this game. I like the under 31.5. I thought the number is crazy as it is, like it doesn't really get a lot lower than this. Like you might occasionally catch a 29.5. I like the under here, though. I think that it's going to be just like last week. I think you're looking at a team that's going to score between 25 and 30 points. I'm going to go under on this first half team total. I just think this Alcorn State team, there's not a ton to play for here. And I think it's a situation where they're just simply not going to get to the foul line, not going to have second chance points. So I will bet against them meaningfully outperforming their efficiency from the field in the first half of an early start time game.
All right. Gus Dawson says, Sia ends the show and turns into John Clayton listening to Slayer in his room. That is a great reference, first of all. Shout out to rest in peace to John Clayton. And we didn't acknowledge Lou Holtz late last week. So, rest in peace to Lou Holtz as well. I'm going to give out my golf outright. Mike, I don't know if you have anything to say about this. This is a lot of me repeating last week. I actually think when it comes to the players, I think we're looking at similar fits than what we were looking at Bay Hill last week. And that's why I'm going back to Colin Morikawa. If you followed me last week, we hit the top 20 on Colin Morikawa. We hit 3 different round matchups on Colin Morikawa. We had him as a one and done. We had him as an outright. He was in the conversation on Sunday, but just ultimately came up short as the putter cooled off a little bit from day one. He honestly would have been the first round leader if not for Daniel Berger on Thursday. With all that said, and we'll get into this more on the early wedge. I like Colin Morikawa at plus 2,500. The ball striking is tremendous. 2 of the last 3 years here, he's been basically top 5 in the field, ball striking, top 5 in the field on approach as well. 2024, he didn't have a good year, but 2025, 2023, he was great. He's never gained with the putter at TPC Sawgrass, which is certainly problematic. Over 5 turns here, he's never gained with the putter, but we have seen him make improvements with the putter in a short sample size over the last few weeks. And I think if he can be a neutral putter, which he's shown he can be, I think he could absolutely win this tournament. So give me Colin Morikawa plus 2,500 to win the Players' Championship. I will tell you, the pick I was going to give out that got pulled, it was so juicy, but I loved it so much. It was over at DK, and this might come back on MGM or FanDuel or DK or the book you make your golf bets at. It was Siwoo Kim, top Korean. Who was against Siwoo Kim, top Korean? It was SH Kim. And it was Sung J M, who's coming back from injury. It wasn't good last week, probably won't be good for a little bit. SH Kim, terrible course fit, not nearly the talent of Siwoo Kim. And oh, by the way, Siwoo Kim might be an outright for me as well. We'll see on the early wedge. He is really good here. He's coming in with great form. This number was really juicy. It was minus 156. I gather that they pulled it because it got hit. In spite of the juice, I gather that people were looking at that number and willing to pay the juice because that is an absolute mismatch. If it comes back, I will be betting that, even though it's super juicy, but I wanted to put that on your radar. Maybe another book has it at a better number. I'm not sure. It's just not out right now. Speaking of golf, I want to talk to you about some BetMGM promos before we get to some baseball, before we get to Larry's college basketball pick. BetMGM players will be eligible to receive their stake back in cash as a second chance refund on any pre-tournament straight or golf tournament wagers. This means if the player you bet on does not win the golf tournament, but does finish second, you get your money back. I don't know. Maybe you want to consider Colin Morikawa there. Maybe Scotty Scheffler wins and you get your stake back in cash. This promotion will be available pre-tournament for all applicable golf events on Mondays through Wednesdays only at BetMGM. Mike, I'll ask you about golf later. Mikey B, I'll ask you about some of the NBA questions in the chat. We got to get to Amags picks. We got to get to Larry's. We're going to do that right after this message from our partners.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything. I do have one question. We didn't mean right now.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Amags, we've got baseball, we've got WBC, and we've got futures to consider in MLB. Talk to me.
Yeah, and I'm actually sitting here trying to just continue to look at the lines for the WBC. It's been tough how late they've been giving us some of these lines on these games. And I understand that there's a lot of variables from the book standpoint. There's a lot of international players who have never seen MLB talent and, from each of the leagues around the world, how those stack up against each other. So I'm sitting here trying to just keep looking to see if stuff is becoming available. So make sure you do that as well, because I would have loved to have a pick for you here on the USA, but I will have an article about the game tonight, USA versus Mexico. So at least look out for that one on CBS Sports. But I've got to play for you here on the noontime game, noon Eastern time. We get the Dominican Republic coming right back to it. And look, as I'm looking at the spread here on the Dominican Republic, you can get 7.5 at DraftKings. It was right at even money. It's starting to move a little bit down into negative territory, but if you don't want to take the spread, maybe ride with me here on the team total. Look, this Dominican Republic team has scored 24 runs in 2 games. They have been obliterating the ball. I had somebody in the Discord say to me last night, the Dominican Republic lineup is a 99 overall. And it really kind of is. You start to look up and down the lineup. They are littered with all-stars and studs and Junior Caminero, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Ketel Marte. I mean, you look at some of the guys that are actually going to be in the lineup in this game. They put O'Neal Cruz in the lineup. They put Geraldo Perdomo in the lineup. I still think they can get to 10 runs. And the thing is, being the away team here, even if they were to end the game early, if you look at it, you'd have to win by 15 or 10 runs. So you're going to get to that team total in either of those cases. So then you start to look at it, and you really would have to get into that 9th inning with all of these, these full complement of at-bats for this team. I just think that when you're guaranteed pretty much to either end the game early by this many runs or get to the end of the game, the pitchers on every side, it really doesn't matter. Truthfully, I'm actually I know it's Israel, but I'm looking at some of the other teams that they've faced too. The pitching just not great. And you have these all-star studs that are just, behemoths of the game on the other side. I just don't think that the depth of any pitching staff besides maybe the U.S. Or their own, the Dominican team, would be able to stop this lineup. So For 9.5 runs here, I think they at least get to double digits again. If they get stifled, hey, so be it. But I think at that point, the spread would be in danger as well. Secondly, I wasn't going to come here without at least a little bit of MLB action. I had to throw on the Pirates hat here because the guy that they put into the lineup today for the Dominican Republic is the guy that I'm taking for a season-long home run bet in O'Neal Cruz. And when you look at some of his numbers from last year, especially against lefties, he was abysmal. He only had 1 home run against left-handed pitching all of last year. He hit a paltry 102 with a 400 OPS. That's not the just the slugging percentage there. That's the entire OPS. At 400 is just truly mind-boggling. So I think that there's at minimum a bit of regression that we see there for him. Positive regression, of course, but you get back to maybe 4, 5, even 6 home runs against lefties. He's been working in the offseason, hitting against the left-handed pitching coach, specifically trying to work on that. So we've already seen him hit a home run in the tournament in the first game here for the Dominican Republic. I think he's going to have a much better season, especially in that revamped Pirates lineup. So give me over 20.5 home runs for the season for O'Neal Cruz. When you look at the last 2 years, he's right around that number anyways. I think this is much closer to the low end for him. He's a 30-30 candidate every year, and I think he gets much closer to that this year, if not hits it. So O'Neal Cruz, Dominican Republic, all the good Dominican Republic vibes here today on the show.
Larry, I know you've got something on the Sun Belt Championship along with your pick, but Amags, I want to go right back to you. Do you know how tall O'Neal Cruz is?
Oh, it's tall. 6'7", 248 on Baseball Savant.
Yeah, I walked you right into that one. Do you know?
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Do you know who O'Neal Cruz is named after? It's a Yankee.
Oh, it's Paul O'Neill, right? But they spelt it differently in his first name.
Sure. But yeah, Rafael Cruz, a minor league player. Paul O'Neill was his favorite player, so he's named after Paul O'Neill. I found that out 10 minutes ago when I did some O'Neal Cruz research. Larry, we might have some baseball questions. We got a lot of questions we're going to get to. But Larry, can you talk to me about the Sun Belt Championship real quick tonight?
Well, something crazy is going on because Georgia Southern is playing their 6th game in 6 days. They have just become the 3rd team, along with NC State in 24 and Kemba Walker's UConn team in 2011 that won 5 straight. But those teams already won the tournament. They now are in the final 6 games. There's a kid named Spud Webb. He's not related to the original Spud Webb. Maybe he was named after him. I don't know. But Spud Webb has played 34 or more minutes on 5 straight days. And now they have game 6 tonight against Troy, the number 1 seed, who got a bye to the semis. I mean, this is one of the all-time stories. If they can keep it going and somehow pull the upset, they only lost by 5 in the regular season meeting. So I am pulling for Georgia Southern tonight. They have never won this conference, and they are on the verge of doing something historic because that bracket is crazy the way the Sun Belt does it. You could actually have a team win 7 games if they were even lower than the 10 seed, which is Georgia Southern. But I'm going to play a Horizon League semifinal, more of a standard tournament. And I'm going to take Wright State, the number 1 seed, and they're a dog. They're a 2-point dog to Northern Kentucky. This is the old, can you beat a team 3 times? They've already beaten them twice. The first time they beat them at home by 8, but then on the road, the regular season finale, this was a classic game, 92-91. Wright State was down 18 at the half. They come storming back, and then they win it on a tip-in at the buzzer. They're just so balanced offensively. They're so efficient offensively, the best shooting team in the conference. They're excellent from the 3-point line. Northern Kentucky is also loaded with offensive talent. This game will be in the 80s. It's going to be back and forth, but I just think this should be a pick 'em. I don't think Wright State should be getting 2 full points against Northern Kentucky, a team they've already beaten twice, and they are more rested in terms of Northern Kentucky having to play yesterday, and Wright State has been off since beating Cleveland State. So I'm going to play Wright State plus the 2. This is a Horizon semi, the first one of the night.
I was just doing some research on Spud Webb. You would think there'd be some relation, or I don't know, that the parent was a big fan. I didn't find that out. They're not related at all. And the younger Spud Webb at Georgia Southern, I believe it is, spells it with 2 Ds. So I don't know. It's Tavares Spud Webb. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and he's like 6'4", and the original
Yeah.
Spud Webb we're talking 5'6". So I don't know.
What are we doing?
Man.
What are we doing, Mom
Get that
and Dad?
out of here. Get that out of here.
I
Come
guess they
on.
wouldn't have known how tall he was going to be when they named him, but still,
It's not
come
like
on.
Michael Jordan. It's not like their name is Jordan, last name is Jordan, and they put Michael on it. That's more common.
Yeah.
But Spud Webb, come on, that's too unique. Get that out of here. I mean, it's better than naming your kid Apple or Kumquat or something, but it's not great.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair. River. I don't know. River's kind of cool, I guess. Josh Clemente, says Grimes over 8.5 rebounds and assists, Mikey B. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'd rather play the over on his points. He should play a lot. VJ Edgecombe's questionable tonight, so that's important because that could soak up a lot of minutes. But Grimes they need his points. I mean, like I talked about how many points and shot attempts that Maxey and Embiid average, so that's really big. I would say if Edgecombe is out, I like that over a lot more, but I like the points for Grimes over regardless.
And there's people asking about Pajemski, 11.5 rebounds and assists. If they're getting that at around even money, do you like that? Would you go with that?
I do. Yep, I like that.
Okay.
I mean, I think he could blow past 10.5, blow past 11.5. Like the last two times he had 14 and 15, and he didn't even play 30 minutes in either of those games. The Jazz are terrible. He's going to play a lot. So, yeah, I like that too.
By the way, do you think the Jazz, just like the Wizards and some of these tanking teams, they do come out and sometimes shine in like quarter one, quarter two? Could you see a scenario where that's close? Because I was thinking of like a first quarter bet on the Jazz. Maybe Keontae George gets hot and they're like actually trying for a little bit. Is that ever on your radar with a tanking team?
No, I don't. Okay. I don't want anything to do with those. Now the one thing I would say is, if a tanking team gets out to an early lead, like if the Bulls ever have a lead in a game, I usually take the other team because they're going to blow it. So it's one of those kinds of things. That's the only way I would play those, is if they get out to a lead early, then I would take the other team to come back. But the Jazz just don't play any defense. So it's like points overs. Those are the kind of things you want.
First quarter over was something I was thinking of there as well. I don't know what the number is, so it's probably really high. Amags, there's a question from Rick Funcannon on anybody going the yard for the Dominican Republic today. But before we get there, Mike McClure, from a golf standpoint, Players Championship, have you looked at anything? Are there any outrights you're already considering?
Yeah, first one's the same one you've got in. It's Colin. 25-1. I would be stunned if we don't see that number close at 20 or below. Yeah. I think he's clearly the third best player right now. I think it's Scotty, Rory, and Colin. And what's happening in the betting market, and I do expect Xander to come back at some point, essentially, and really, really compete. But it's just the market is priced Xander as a clear 3 always still. And I just don't think that's true. So I think a lot of the source of the value on Collins coming from the number on Xander. So I'll be playing him first. I also like Siwoo Kim, as you mentioned, and just all the good approach players. The longer, the better on some of those iron shots. But Colin, like we've talked about it across all the shows. If Colin is just average to the field putting, he is so close to where Rory and Scotty are right now, in my opinion, that there's going to be extreme value there, and I continue to bet him every week.
Yeah, and the ball striking at TPC Sawgrass has been so good for him. Last question, because I know when Buckets rolled the dice and he landed on Ludwig, you were like, actually, we're playing the game theory game with the dice. But when that popped up, you were like, I'm putting Ludwig in a lot of my high-end DFS lineups. He's a guy that's going to be somewhat popular this week after what people saw last week. Cam Young also perhaps going to be popular in that same ilk of player. Are Ludwig or Cam Young on your radars at all?
Ludwig is. I'm going to be likely off of Cam Young for right now. May potentially look to play live, but just at the number and where everything's kind of shaken out, I do like Ludwig though. I think he's got, we all kind of known this if you watch him play. He's got the skill set. It's just a matter of form, and I like the form a lot right now. I think it's really, really close. So Ludwig, yes. Cam Young, I will probably only have exposure in terms of finishing position.
And last thing here, Chuck has $100 free wager. He's actually considering putting it on like a hole-in-one wager, which I think is, no offense, ridiculous. Please don't do that. Mike, in a case like this, would you put it on an outright, like something where the return is going to be high? Like, how would you handle a $100 free wager?
Yeah, these are always fun questions because the answer truly is unique to your own personal situation. Like, what's the bankroll look like? How significant would it be to, for some people, just simply returning the $100 that free wager into $100 would be a meaningful win, right? So if that is the case, then I would look for a finishing position on someone Sia likes, whatever it may be. Actually, what I would do is I would take one of Sia's first round leaders and back them on their first round score under. You can't be a first round leader without cashing your round score under. Sia's got a knack for picking those. That's probably where I would go. But if it's not significantly meaningful and you'd like to really make a meaningful bet, then yes, for me, it would be an outright or a top 5 potentially on someone a little further down the board that we show a little value on. So what that may look like, you mentioned Siwoo, you're catching his top 5 at plus 610. And the reason I would like that is there's still room for Scotty, Rory, Colin to have great weeks. So that's how I would handle it. But I wish that there was a blanket correct answer. There unfortunately isn't. It really depends on what your own personal situation looks like.
All right. Amags, any thoughts on somebody to go the yard for the Dominican Republic tonight? Or today, I should say. Sorry.
So I did mention it, but Junior Caminero's got a home run in both of the games. I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. has looked solid. We saw Juan Soto end the game last night by mercy rule with a home run. So it's kind of like anyone. But my thought here is when you're betting these home run props in these games, try to look down the odds board a little bit. So the plus 200s, I'd rather not take Caminero at plus 200. Maybe you do look down the board and see what O'Neal Cruz. I was honestly looking for O'Neal Cruz to see if I could get his odds. Some of the books don't even have it listed, but maybe look for someone in that like plus 350 to plus 450. That's I guess my only thought with betting some of those lower numbers. Real quick too, though, we had another question about the MLB Futures show. I don't know for sure, but I think we're getting an MLB Futures show at some point. So maybe
Ben, do we have
mention that?
Thanks for reminding me, Amags. I know we have a graphic for some of the upcoming shows, and I can't remember. So here we are, March. Oh, so these are the March Madness YouTube streams, and it looks like we've got one this Friday at 1 p.m. with some live betting involved. Sunday at 7:30. Okay, so this one we'll get to MLB in a second because Ben's going to pipe in here. But Sunday, March 15th. This is really cool. As soon as the brackets are released, we're going to be doing a show breaking down first-round games, first-round bets against the spread, and just like the bracket itself at 7:30. So remember, that bracket show is 6 to 7. At 7:30, we're going to be on this YouTube channel basically breaking the bracket down and first-round games. Again, 7:30 this Sunday. And then Wednesday, March 25th, Sweet 16 betting stream at 4 p.m. So make sure you have your notifications turned on. But Ben, as it relates to MLB Futures, can you speak to that?
Yeah, so we're going to set up an MLB Futures show probably for the end of March before, obviously, opening day. And then we're also going to have a day baseball stream right after opening day on the 26th, I believe. That's a Thursday. So we're going to get those together. So, yeah, day baseball live streams are coming back, and I try to do those at least once a month. And we'll have an MLB Futures show coming up in the next week or so.
I absolutely love that. Amags, thanks for the reminder there. Larry Hartstein, was there anything in the chat, college basketball or otherwise, that you needed to respond to?
No, the only other game I was looking at today, Monmouth, the Monmouth Hawks getting 1.5 against Campbell, or pick them basically. I would take Monmouth. They had one of their best players, if not their best player, who was ineligible pretty much the whole season, looking into a rules violation. Not sure what the situation was, but then they cleared him, and he's played the last 9 games, and he's been absolutely awesome. McLean, the point guard, and they've gone 7-2 and only lost to the top 2 teams in the conference. But Campbell just knocked off the top seed, so it's going to be a good one. But I like Monmouth on that one.
Anytime somebody says McLean, I think of John McClane from Die Hard. I'm just not going to not think about that. Mike, you had something, and then I'll
it was
go
just
to you.
Funny timing, and that as Larry started typing or talking, I was typing. Someone asked for some additional leans in college basketball. I like Larry's Wright State play, and then I started mentioning the Campbell and Monmouth game as Larry was talking. So I did play under 153.5 in that one. It has moved down to 151.5 now, but the spread on the game has moved. It's at -1.5 for Monmouth now. I do not agree with that movement. I made that number 4. So I would support a play on the side of Monmouth now at this point.
Hey, Max, it looked like you had something as well. James Rainwater piping in, who I believe is a former Marine, if I read the chat correctly. So thank you for your service, James. He says Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I know we do this at least once a year. Ladies, gentlemen, It's not a Christmas movie. Amags, go ahead.
I can't weigh in on that, but I will say we had a couple questions and we mentioned day baseball. There's a bunch of great games today, and someone actually asked about the Great Britain game. So Great Britain against Brazil, really quick. That's going to be loser is going to have to go to the qualifying stage. So there's a pretty good deal of impact in that game if you want to watch it. That's at 1 o'clock. Dominican Republic against Israel. I think that, in my opinion, should be a good game, at least from the Dominican side. But we'll see how that Israel pitching staff does. They did hold Nicaragua to 0 runs, 2 hits yesterday, but it's obviously a much different lineup. And that was also, hey, hats off to Dean Kramer. So, you want to watch that Dominican Republic game. Then at 1 o'clock, you have Brazil and Great Britain. And then at 8 o'clock, you have USA and Mexico. So there's a bunch going on today for baseball if you want to watch it.
Mikey B, I want to see if there's any questions you need to answer here. But James Rainwater says it's at Christmas time. It's not. It didn't come out at Christmas time, I don't believe. And by the way, Die Hard 2, they leaned so much into that Christmas theme that they opened Die Hard 2 in July. So let's come on, guys. I can debunk. We could go an hour and I could debunk every little argument here. But it definitely is not a Christmas time movie, as evidenced by its sequel. Mikey B, anything NBA-wise you needed to lean into?
Yeah, there's a question here. What do you think about Cam Spencer over 5.5 assists at plus 100? It looks like Ty Jerome, Scottie Pippen, and Cedric Coward are all doubtful. So that would probably mean a lot of minutes for Cam Spencer. You're getting even money there. I don't mind that over at all.
Yeah, Larry, you haven't seen Die Hard. I'm not going to make fun of you. Like it is timeless. Go watch it. You're going to it's not like we're not aged out of it. We're not timed out of it. It is really a really good movie. Mikey B, the NBA, before we get to the recap screen, really quick, the NBA game I kind of liked the Clippers at home, plus 1.5, plus 2.5. Any thoughts there? Knicks on a back-to-back. They didn't have to travel. They played the Lakers. I just think the Clippers, they barely beat Memphis, but they almost beat the Spurs. They won a few games prior to that. They look like they're playing decent basketball.
Yeah, they tend to play up or down to their competition lately. So, yeah, I do like that. The Knicks have been a little inconsistent right now. This road trip's not been great for them. So, yeah, I like the Clippers there too.
Yeah, I know it's Christmas time in the movie. I know what people are saying there. I'm just saying that if it was a Christmas movie, it might have opened during the holidays. Knicks plus 2.5, courtesy of BetMGM. All right, and let's hand up if I missed anything, but let's get to the recap screen before we get out of here. Players Championship, this is my first outright. And again, I'm generally coming with outrights on Mondays, some picks as well, but it's partly because I think these numbers could move a little bit. The Con Morikawa's number already has moved, but I think it might, like Mike suggested, I think we might see 20-1 before these guys tee off on Thursday morning. Kelly Oubre Jr. over 17.5 points, minus 128. That one from Mikey B. Also likes Brandon Pajemski over 10.5 rebounds and assists at minus 138. We discussed taking those lines at 11.5 at even money. Alcorn State first half team total under 31.5, minus 112 from Mike McClure. Wright State plus 2, minus 110 from Larry Hartstein. And then Amags back on the show. We'll see Matt Snyder here soon too as well. Dominican Republic over 9.5 runs, minus 125. And O'Neal Cruz, 6'7", over 20.5 home runs at minus 120. All right. What a show. I didn't realize we went 33 minutes. This is longer than I anticipated, but that's what happens when we have this type of crew. And all of you in the chat, Mike McClure, Larry Hartstein, Amags, Mikey B, thank you very much. Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and also in front of the camera. What a show. Let's have a great Monday. Let's have a great week. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll do the same thing tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Until then, we rest our case.